Hey everyone, it's Lisa Mears here. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. Today I'm super excited to share some brand new products from Scrap Diva Designs Valentine release. I've got a few of the fantastic items they've launched, but trust me, there's plenty more fun dies and crafting goodies to explore over on their website. If you're gearing up for Valentine's Day projects, you're definitely going to want to check these out. After I show you these products, I'll be making a card using some of these products, so stick around for that. And of course, I'll have links to everything I'm showing in the description box below so that you can easily grab what you love. Plus, if you use my coupon code LisaMears at checkout, you'll get an extra 10% off your order, so be sure to take advantage of that. So let's dive in and check out these awesome Valentine products. So this first die set is called Heart Cherries. You can see that there's cherries in different sizes and the cherries are heart-shaped. There's also some dies that will die cut the leaves, and there are some heart cherries that are outlines, which will allow you to make these cherries into a shaker. And that's what I did with a card that I made, which I'm popping up on the screen right here. And you can see here I used the smallest cherry die and I turned those cherries into a shaker element. And I will have a tutorial coming up here on my YouTube channel showing how I made this card, so be sure to stay tuned for that. The next die set that I have to share with you is the Heart Bottle Shaker set, and this die set comes with 3 different size heart bottles. They look like little perfume bottles, and you can totally turn these into shakers as well. And in fact, I'm going to be using this die set to make a card today at the end of this unboxing, so be sure to stick around for that. So here's what the dies look like. The dies cut out a solid piece as well as a frame, and there are also some hearts that have some words inside. These words say Love Potion and they come in different fonts. So I'm going to set that one aside and show you the next die, which is the 3x3" envelope with a liner. So it is a 3x3" envelope, and there is a die to make a liner inside. And here's an example of an envelope that I made using that die. And again, I will have a tutorial coming up here on my YouTube channel. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so that you get notified when I release that video. I love this next die, which is the Valentine Car Mini Album die set. You can use this die to make a car-shaped mini album, or you can use it to make a card. There are 2 sizes of the cars. There's a larger one and a smaller one that you have included with this set. And here's a picture of a card that I made using the larger die in this set. This is a shaped card and it does fit inside of an A2 size envelope. I made this card Valentine themed, but I could totally see this being used for other occasions, including Christmas. Now you can even make that window into a shaker element, which I did, so you can see that it does have some shaker hearts inside. And I will have a tutorial coming up on my YouTube channel showing exactly how I made this card. So moving on, there is also the Valentine word die. So it does just spell out the word Valentine. And then there are also some other fun dies. These are the Valentine Words 3, and there are 7 words in this die set. Each word has 3 different dies included. You have the actual word, which you see in the red, and then underneath that in the white layer is a stitched shadow layer, and then underneath that I die cut a teal shadow layer. These dies are so much fun because you can use both layers under the word, or you can just use one layer. It's up to you. So I'm just going to go ahead and tape this layer down. It's super easy to do. And then I also love how the white layer has the stitching all around the outside edge, which brings a lot of detail to these dies. So we have the sprinkled with love, lots of love. We have hot stuff and galentine. There's love you and be mine. And then there's the always and forever. Next is the Love Stamp and Die set. This set consists of 12 different tag stamps, and they have words inside such as date, Cupid, love you, amazing, handsome, kindness, darling, and there's so many more. And then you can stamp those stamps out and die cut it with the tag die that's included in that set. Next is the Valentine Stamp 2025. There are 8 different stamps in here. You have the Whisked with Love. That sentiment would go perfect with the Apron mini album die that was released last month. There's You Hold the Key to My Heart, Will You Be My Valentine, Always and Forever. There's also Little Miss Heartbreaker, Love is Sweet Like Cupcakes, Stealing Hearts Like Cupid, and Stealing Hearts Like. Such a cute stamp set. Okay, so those are the products that I have to share with you, but remember there's a lots more in this release, and you can look over on the website and check those all out. Again, be sure to use coupon code Lisa Mears to save 10%. Now I want to go ahead and make a card with you, and I'm going to be using the Heart Bottle Shaker set to make my card. And there are 3 different size bottles. I'm going to be using the largest one. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the dies that I need for this largest shaker heart bottle. And I've already selected some pattern paper that I'm going to be using. This pattern paper is an Echo Park collection, which is pretty old. And I don't even think they sell this anymore, so you can use any pattern papers that you have in your collection, and I just chose to use these. So I'm going to go ahead and die cut the small, thin outline die. I'm just going to center it over these script words. I'm going to use some tape to tape this down so that it stays in place when I run it through my die cut machine. And then I'm going to die cut this pink pattern paper as well, and I'll hold that in place as well. So I'll go ahead and run that through my die cutting machine off camera. So you can see that this thin die, it cuts out the entire shape and it's a solid shape, whereas this thicker die, it actually cuts the outline frame, and that's what you can use to make the shaker. It also cuts the inside out. Now, you can use this, as the name suggests, to make a shaker, but you don't have to use this die to make a shaker. So if you don't like shaker cards, you can still use this die and not make the shaker. So I'm using the thinner die, the one that cuts out the entire shape, and I'm die cutting a piece of acetate. And if you're not making a shaker, you can skip that step. So I'm going to go ahead and take the frame outline and put some glue on the back. And that is the piece that's going to be attached to the solid piece of acetate. So that's my shaker window. So I'm just going to attach that, and then I'm going to use my acrylic block and just hold that down so that I get a really good seal on that piece. Next, I'm going to add some foam strips. This is some double-sided adhesive foam, and I'm just adding it around the back side of that bottle. I want to make sure that all of that foam is connected from edge to edge so that when I add the shaker pieces that none of them fall out. So you can see how that foam, it is all connected, and I even put some at the top of that bottle just for stability when I add this to the solid piece. So I'm just going to remove the backing on all of that double-sided adhesive foam, and then I'm going to add my shaker mix into the bottle that has the acetate. So that mix was a white mix, and then I'm going to add some of these hearts from this pink mix. I think that will add a little bit of color. Also, I love those hearts. It's perfect for the Valentine theme, so I'm just going to pick out a few of those hearts and drop them in this mix as well. As you add your shaker mixes, be careful not to get any on the exposed part of that foam because you don't want it to stick to it. So I'm going to go ahead and close up this shaker bottle. Just put the solid piece on the back, and there is my shaker. It's so pretty. Next, I'm going to add some hearts to the top of the bottle. This particular die has some stitching on it, and you can see that it cuts out a solid heart with stitching all around. And then there's this die that has the words Love Potion inside. There's also some stitching there, but there's also a little hole there, so you can actually use this die to not only die cut the heart with the words, but also if you wanted to use it as a tag, you can stick a little piece of twine or ribbon inside of there. And then you can attach it to the top of the heart-shaped bottle, just like that. But I'm not going to be using that particular die today. However, I did want to show you what it looked like. And I am just going to put some ink over the top of the words because the words are debossed or pressed into the cardstock. So I just want to show you, if you couldn't really see it on that white cardstock, if I put some ink, you can see it a little bit better. So I'm not going to be using that one today. Instead, I'm going to be using the larger heart and the medium-sized heart. There's also a smaller heart. And I'm going to be layering them on top of each other and putting them in the center of this bottle. Now you could always die cut those hearts in a white or a colored cardstock and stamp a sentiment inside, but I'm just going to take one of the hearts and just die cut this pattern paper with the collection that I chose. I'm just going to place it over this word love, and I'll be running that through my die cut machine to cut that in a heart shape and use that on the front of my bottle. So I die cut that word love with the middle-sized heart, and now I'm going to take the largest heart and I'm just going to use this piece of pattern paper that die cut when I die cut that frame for the bottle, and I'll just use that so I don't have to waste that piece. And that's going to go in the background of the word love, and you can see how those will layer together, and then I'll just glue those together and then put them on the bottle. There is also a die for the lid or cap for the bottle, and I went ahead and die cut that, and I'll go ahead and add that to my bottle. I'm also going to be bringing in the Love Stamp and Die set. I'm going to use the words love you, and I'm going to use this piece of paper from the collection. I want to get that same cream color that's in the heart bottle. So I'm going to stamp out this little tag shape with the word love you. I'm going to stamp it on that cream pattern paper. And I'm just using some black ink. And then I'm going to use the die and line it up. I'll hold this down with some mint tape because I don't want that to move. And then I will run that through my die cut machine, and notice that it does die cut a little hole in the top of that tag for you to put some twine or ribbon through. Now before I attach that, I want to add some brown ink to the edges. I want to make this a little bit of a vintage look, so the ink I'm using is the vintage photo ink, and I put it around the tag, and I'm also putting some around the heart-shaped bottle, which I should have probably done this before I put the entire shaker together, but this was kind of an afterthought, so I'm just using a finger dauber and just rubbing this along the edge of that bottle to add a little bit of that brown ink to the edges. Next, I'm going to wrap a piece of twine around the top of that bottle, and then I'm going to put the twine through the hole in the tag and then just tie that in a bow so that it's at the top of that bottle. I really love how these little tags fit perfectly on these heart-shaped bottles. It's the perfect size. So I'm just going to trim off the bottom of that twine. And to add a little pop of pink, I am going to add this pink flower that I got from my stash, and I'm just adding it to the center of that bow. Okay, now it's time to put this card together, and I have a few pieces of pattern paper from this same collection that I cut down, and I'm adding them to a piece of white cardstock. So my white cardstock is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then the dot pattern at the top is 4 1/8 by 2 1/4. I aligned that with the very top of the white cardstock, and I also aligned it flush to the left. Mine is a little bit longer than the 4 1/8, but I will be cutting it down. So the pink paper at the bottom is 4 1/8 by 2.5, and then the middle piece is 4 1/8 by 3/4 inches. So to make them all the 4 1/8, I'm just cutting straight along the right edge of that white cardstock. I also die cut another piece of pattern paper that's going to layer on top of the pink and black piece. And the die that I used for this is a pink and Maine die, and I will have that linked below as well. And now I'm just adding some of that vintage photo ink along the edge of both of these pieces of pattern paper to get a little bit more of that vintage look. For my card base, I have a piece of cream colored cardstock to go with that cream and the pattern paper, and I'm going to add the pink and black piece of pattern paper to the front of my card base. My card base is measured at 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and that die cut piece I'm going to put right on the top. Then I'll add the heart-shaped bottle to the center. Now that the front is complete, I am going to be decorating the inside of my card, and I'll be using the Always and Forever stamp from this Valentine stamp set. I die cut another one of those frame dies and also a piece of the pattern paper. The pattern paper is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and those two pieces will just be layered together. And I did ink up the edges with that brown ink to keep a consistent look with the front of the card. So I'm just going to take the cream piece and I'm putting it back here in my MISTI, and I'm centering up the sentiment and I'm stamping it down with some black ink. Next, I'm going to glue that piece on to the pattern paper, and then I'll add that to the inside of my card. And to finish off this card, I did add some silver gems to the front, just a few there on the front. They complement that silver gem that is in the center of that flower. And that's going to complete this card. I really love how this turned out, and I love that inside. It's so pretty. So I hope you liked my video today, and if you did like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Remember, any products that you're interested in, check the link in the description box and use my coupon code LisaMears to save 10%. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.